Martin here from Align Chiropractic. Today's video is a follow-along video, meaning I'm going to be taking you through some things that you can do, and you can more or less just watch the video and follow on. So the purpose of this video is really about moving your upper spine, your neck, your shoulders, your middle back, to get mobility in those areas, but also to soothe those areas. And it's really based on the clinical model that we use in our practice, where we see that there's a real benefit in looking at the spine in kind of a sequential way. That spinal problems, generally what's happening is that segments of the spine, rather than having the ability to move through their full range of motion, are kind of jammed up from either trauma or long periods of time in particular postures or stress, tightening up the muscles around it. And then as the joints jam up, that changes the way the nerves and muscles and all the other soft tissues work, which then changes the alignment of your spine. And this change in movement and alignment of the vertebra causes misfiring of nerves, which has a whole range of effects on your body, but specifically it can affect your ability to kind of balance the whole system. And if you're not balancing the whole system, then your spine's going to be less stable. It's much more common for you to have problems with your back, your neck, and the rest of your body if things aren't stable. So if we look at that, it goes movement, then alignment, then balance, then stability. And so a common thing that I'll see is people talking about, I need to do stability work or core stability work. I actually think it's really important that we do the basics first. We've got to get movement happening first, and then once we've got movement, then we want to have a proper alignment so that when we're stabilizing, first of all, it's more effective, but we're also locking in a good movement pattern and a good alignment pattern rather than locking in poor ones. So this one specifically, today's video is really about dealing with this upper part of the spine, because many of us are locked into these postures working at a desk, or the effect of stress tightens up our neck and shoulder muscles and pushes our head posture forward. And so this is really about restoring movement to those areas and then getting our alignment back into that nice upright posture. I'm also going to be combining some approaches that come from new research into the interplay between how we breathe and our stress response. And in particular, if you want to dive deeper into this, there's a neuroscientist called Andrew Huberman, who's based at he's based at Stanford. And we're going to be using a couple of different approaches to breathing that we're combining with the movement approach, and using a ball, spiky ball, or a tennis ball, or a lacrosse ball that we'll be using to just release muscle tension. And some of that will be I'll be cueing you to breathe in through your nose. And then we'll also be using an approach called a physiological sigh, which is really where you just take in a deep breath through your nose, and then another deep breath through your nose before letting it out. And it's the emerging evidence is that this is a really quick and easy way of us helping to unwind some of the neurological effects of stress, which we know can have really significant impacts on how we feel and how healthy we are. So let's dive straight into this follow-along routine to help release tension in neck, shoulders, upper back, and get movement into those areas so that you can have a healthier, happier, more active body. Well, the first thing that we want to do is we want to encourage movement back into the neck. So with the postures that we've been in and the lack of movement, there's a tendency for our neck to kind of stiffen up, and there's a segmental part of that, which is what we would address in office with an adjustment. Then there's kind of an overall regional movement that we can address with exercise. So first movement we're going to do is we're going to be doing rotational movements. With this, I just want you to be taking nice slow breaths in through the nose, out through the mouth. So first of all, just turn your head all the way to the left, and then go all the way to the right. We're going to go through this 5 times each way. And we're not pushing, we're just holding at that end range, nice and gently. So you're just easing into it, letting your shoulders drop, just letting that tension, that sort of habitual tension, ease away. That's it. I think that's 4. Probably need a better way to count to be able to do this. Okay, I'm going to say that's 5. So next we're going to be moving into lateral flexion. So we just need to be cautious with this. If you get any pinching, any sort of sharp sensation, you don't want to go that far. You want to stop before that point. All of these mobility things are done within what feels just, you're touching that point of tension or restriction. So sideways, going all the way over there. And we're just pausing at that end range, maybe a count of 3. Just working our way into that range, just getting every vertebra in our neck and even into our upper back starting to move. This is our 3rd one. Maybe just pause a little bit longer there. Any sort of knotty points, you can just almost sort of focus on it. Just get that movement happening, just nodding a little bit back and forward. Okay, that's 4. So 1 more to go. Last round for lateral flexion. Lateral flexion is actually a really important movement, and there's not many day-to-day activities that we do to encourage this range of motion. So it's often an exercise that we'll have people do because getting lateral flexion actually encourages movement in the other range. So now we're going to go flexion extension. Flexion, I'm going to get you to go nice and gently on because we all tend to spend a lot more time in flexion than we do in extension. With extension, which is the one going back, again, just be really mindful that you don't want to be getting any pinching sensation with that. That's 2. With this one, I'm doing it up against the wall. If you feel any dizziness with this, then back off, maybe skip this part of it. This is our last one, our 5th repetition. Okay. Now, functionally interlinked with your neck is your shoulders. And so again, all this time spent like this, there's an alignment component of that, but before we can really address the alignment, we've got to get the ability for these joints to move. So first up, I'm going to do a stretch across the body, trying not to mess up my mic here. So come all the way across, and we're just going to breathe in through the nose and out. We're going to do this one for 3 breaths. Just going to go a little bit further on this 3rd one. Swap arms, bringing the arm across, other arm just hooks in next to the elbow there. Breathe in, out. Breathe in, out. Breathe in, and out. So that's started to get some mobility, but really if we want to be able to bring our shoulders back, which is what most of us need because so much of our activity is in front of us, we want to be opening up and restoring that movement that way. So what we're going to do here is spend sort of 3 exercises opening up this in the front of our shoulder. So the first one, what we're going to do here is we're going to put our hand up on the wall above horizontal. So if that's horizontal, first one we want is up here, And then I've got my body sort of facing away there, my elbow is straight, and then I'm turning out this way, and then I'm going to do 3 breaths there, so in through the nose, and out. That's 2. So if I can just rotate a little bit more. And 3. I'm just going to take that tension off. And now I'm going to that horizontal level. And it'll feel a little bit different. It's going to hit a slightly different part of the shoulder. So again, in through the nose. And out through the mouth. And 3. Now we're just going to do just below horizontal to again get a slightly different part of the shoulder. We're going to come across. One. 2. That's 3. Okay, so now we're going to repeat exactly the same thing but on the opposite side. So first one, if that's horizontal, we're going up maybe 30 degrees above horizontal, rotating away, feeling the stretch at the front of the shoulder, maybe a little bit into the arm. 1. 2. 3. Then we're going to our horizontal point now, taking that stretch back up and then in through the nose. Out through the mouth. And that's 3. So we're going to get out just below horizontal one there, take that stretch up and then in through the nose. And out. That's it, just move your shoulders around, enjoy that extra mobility there. So next what we're going to be working on is bringing up into flexion or sort of like an overhead position for our shoulders. So with this I'm standing sort of basically like arm length away from a wall, and I reach out, put my hands there, I'm keeping my elbows straight, and then what I'm doing from here is keeping my arms straight and dropping my body all the way down. I'm not rounding my back, I'm keeping my back straight and then getting that movement back into the shoulders, giving them that full range. We're just going to do 3 breaths here, so in through the nose and then out through the mouth. So next what we're going to do is move on from looking at movement, and we're going to focus instead on alignment. What we're really wanting to do is to reverse that tendency that we all have to have this sort of position. And so what we're going to do is do an exercise called a W exercise, which is where you make your arms into a W shape with the thumbs facing backward. I always like to sort of correct the head posture, so pull your head back, and I always like to look up slightly because that helps just release the activation here. What we're really wanting to do is use these muscles down here in between our shoulder blades. So make the W shape, look up slightly, and then what we're doing is trying to not use these muscles, but use those ones in between your shoulder blades. We're squeezing back, 1, 2, 3, relaxing. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. We're going to go for 10, so that's 4, 3. 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to say that one's 4. And 5. 6. If it's getting uncomfortable, if things are starting to burn, just take a little break. 6. And 7. So it's kind of this back and down movement that we're after. Just caught myself looking down too much. 9. And last one. Good. So what we've done there is really kind of reset our alignment. And that'll mean that rather than when your head's forward, everything through has to be working overtime just to stop your head from going forward with gravity. So we're going to use that. We've got movement, we've got alignment. Now what I want to do is just kind of soothe this area. We're all doing a lot of this. Let's just work through with some pressure on those areas. And for this, I'm going to suggest that you use a ball, a spiky ball. In this case, this is a lacrosse ball. And what we're going to start with, we're going to be doing 3 individual spots. We're going to be doing one right in between the spine and the shoulder blade here. Then we're going to be doing one that's up almost on the meaty bit above your shoulder blade. And then we're going to be doing this little corner in here where your arm joins onto your shoulder blade there. So we're going to do that on each side. We're going to use that slightly different breathing where rather than just breathing in through your nose and then out through your mouth, if you want to experiment with it, this is a really good place to use that physiological sigh, which just helps reset our nervous system from a stress sort of state into what they call a parasympathetic state, which is putting your nervous system in a state to promote rest and relaxation and kind of de-stressing. So let's start off, you put the ball against the wall and then just drop it down a little bit so you can get into that spot. And rather than rolling around, what I like to do for this is just find a tender spot, hold pressure there, and then we're going to go breathe in through our nose, and then second breath, and then out. So just moving into a slightly different spot there, breathe in, second breath, and out. Breathe in. So now we're going to move to the top of the shoulder. So for this one, you almost need to angle back a little bit. Just going to find that fleshy bit there. All right, so I'm going to breathe in. so that's our 3 breaths there. Now for this one, got really a choice of going on the actual arm here, or for most people this area in the side of the shoulder blade's the spot that you want to hit. So I'm going to hit that one. If you're doing this by yourself, you could maybe do an extra round where you go to the other one if you're feeling tender in both. But I'm on the side of the shoulder blade. The easiest way of getting there is having your body sort of on a 45-degree angle there. Just finding that tender spot. Okay, yeah, that's definitely it. And so I'm going to breathe in through my nose. That's number 2. Let's go for number 3. Ooh, that's a really tender one. Okay, so now what we're going to do, oops, dropped my ball. And I'm back. All right, so same sequence, we're just going to do the opposite side. So again, ball against the wall. I'm just going to roll into that spot just next to my shoulder blade there. All right, that's it. I've got the right spot. So I'm going to breathe in through my nose. Second breath. So now I'm just going to reposition that ball. I'm going really for the top of that shoulder blade there. First breath, double breath. Second breath. That's our third breath there. So now we're just going to move to the outside of the shoulder there. So again, looking for either on the shoulder blade or the back of the arm. So I'm going to keep it consistent, that 45-degree angle here. I'm going for that spot on the shoulder blade. Just breathing in. Moving up a little bit, finding that real epicenter of tension there. All right, that's it. So breathe in that spot. Try to really relax into it. One more. Breathe in through the nose. So there we have it. We've got movement through shoulders, neck, sort of upper back as well. Then we've reset our alignment so that we're in a nice upright position. And then we've kind of reset the tension, reset the nervous system, giving you the best chance of having a healthier, happier, more active body. Thanks for following along.